All right, folks. Hopefully, there's some arborists or some people that have experience with fruit trees that can maybe help me out. I've watched YouTube videos till I'm blue in the face and I see how they do it, and that's what I've tried to do here. Um, this here's a plum tree. I planted last year. I got it from Lowe's. I just put it in the ground last year, didn't do anything to it. This year, I just, I'm not nearly as aggressive as what I see these guys do on YouTube, and they obviously know what they're doing because they have huge crops of fruit trees in their backyard. You know, they would probably cut it like way down to here. I'm afraid to do that. I did tip them, and I did do it with the buds facing outward, right, to try to get that outward growth on all of them. That's how I tried to do it. There were some branches going inward. I removed all of those. So we tried to get that wine glass, as they call it, right? That wine goblet or whatever. So this is a little tree. This is only on its second year here. So I think this one's fine. Go over here. This here's a peach tree. Um, this one here I think is on its third or fourth year. And I think overall it's got a pretty good, pretty good structure to it. I did go ahead and tip it a little bit. And the buds all facing outward, right, to help you get that outward growth. I did remove some of the inner branches, but as you can see, I left some too. I was afraid to remove too many of them. One thing I see all the people say is you don't want a fruit tree that you want to harvest fruit from that's too high. Now this one here is probably, I'm going to say that's probably about 6.5 feet tall right here at its highest point. And from all the videos I've watched, this would be much too high. You'd want it about navel height is what they say. That's where you want to prune it all back. Well, that wouldn't leave me much of a tree. It would probably recover, but I'm just afraid to do that much. I think overall, I think this is pretty healthy. Let me know what you think. Like here, I've left this alone. I didn't do anything here. This here was a very tall branch. I probably took like 2 feet off of here, but I left the outward facing bud. Same thing here. I left this piece here to grow out here. Like this one here I clipped. I left that piece going out there. I didn't want to go too aggressive on it. Now these both of these trees I bought and planted, so I'm pretty confident with them. The shape, I'm happy with them. These were here when I bought the house, and they were just left to grow wild. So I can only do so much. Now I know that my apple, this is a pear, this is an apple. I know both of these are gonna grow like crazy this year because they did last year. This is a 2 variety tree. That's just how it is there. I guess it was grafted at the bottom. This side over here is an Asian pear. Actually, it's a three variety. This is an Asian pear. I believe this here is some type of other pear. And then all this is like the red type of pears you get in the grocery store. Now, I should have got on this tree a lot earlier, but I really didn't know you were supposed to prune fruit trees. So from everything I've learned watching these gardeners, this is obviously your main trunk. And now I know you got 3 branches competing. If I would have known this a long time ago, or if I would have planted it originally, and I think I would have got rid of this branch right here. And they say you don't want a Y like this. I probably would have got rid of this branch right here and left the 1 leader up, and possibly this one growing out, possibly cut right here to encourage the growth. Well, you see how big these are now. I mean, I can wrap my fingers around them. I'm nervous to cut that much of the tree off. I don't want to harm the tree now. So last year, I cut the tree right here, right there, and right there. And those branches you see there, there was probably 4 feet on top of them going straight up. And everything I've seen, they say you don't want branches to go straight up. You want to encourage them to grow outward, like at a 45-degree angle. Now, I had an arborist here who I had trim my cherry tree, and he told me these trees want to grow upward. That's not true. Just leave it alone and let it grow. That, contradicts everything else I've heard, so I'm not sure. Everything tells me that I should cut that down, like way down. But those branches are so big, I'm kind of afraid to. So I did leave a lot on the top, and I did leave all outward facing buds. So if it gets too top heavy next year, I can correct it and do something. Basically on this tree, I kind of need help. I'm not sure what to do with it. It does produce a lot of pears. Once it starts getting leaves on there, I mean, it'll fill up. It won't look like this anymore. But it's tall. That's probably 10 feet tall right there now. And well, it's going to be hard to get the fruit, once it keeps growing. Really not sure what to do. Like I say, if any arborist or fruit tree experts can maybe give me some tips on here. I did take out any inward facing branches, not maybe 100%, but I did take a lot out. And like this was just, just a little, clipped it here for an outward facing bud. I wasn't sure what to do with these. See how they have all this stuff on the end? I really wasn't sure what to do, so I left these alone. This one here, I left that at outward facing bud. Like even this here, I'm really not sure what to do. But I left an out. I did the best I figured, I could do. Outward facing bud, outward facing bud, outward facing, the way that I want it to grow. That's what I'm trying to do. Like some of this little stuff, I was kind of afraid to get rid of it. I don't want to take too much off. I think you can kind of get a gist of what I tried to do here. So anyways, this here's a pear tree. Let's go over here to this apple tree. Now the apple tree is a similar situation. I didn't plant this, it was here. This was a 2 variety, and it was grafted right at the bottom, just like the pear tree over there. In a windstorm, the one portion of it broke off probably 2 years ago down here. I tried to cut it as clean as I could, and well, the tree survived. But now it's only a 1 variety apple tree. Now, right away, I know this should probably go from everything I've seen. The problem is it's so big, I'm afraid to cut it. So last year I put 2 of these, well, that's about what, 2.5 inches right there of wood. I tried to separate it. Maybe this year I'll try to put another one in. Now when I had the arborist here, I asked him the same thing about this. I said, should I get rid of this? And he goes, no, it's fine. You don't necessarily have to get rid of crossing branches. What you've done in there is fine. Just leave it alone. I'm afraid to take it out because it's such a big branch. This branch right here, I mean, you can see there's a lot on there. But according to everything I see the gardeners do on YouTube, that's going toward the center of the tree, and you want the center of the tree open. So I probably should cut that right there, leave that one. That's my thinking, but I'm afraid to do it. Let me know what you guys think. I may have to do it in the future. I don't know, because I think this is definitely a good branch to leave. So anyways, last year this tree was out of control. It was just getting huge. And from everything I once again saw on YouTube, and I watched tons of videos, they said you want to stop the upward growth, you want to try to get outward growth. But you can see where I made these cuts last year. Here, up there. Well, you can kind of see, right? Now, these shoots coming up, they were up probably about 4 feet from when I cut them last year. It was all new growth going straight up in the air. And I'm not sure if those were water spouts. I think they were from what I've read, but I wasn't positive. They said you want to get rid of those and you want to encourage outward growth. So once again, see where I cut last year. This is all new growth. So I tipped it there and tried to encourage outward growth. Same thing with all of these. Kind of see how I've done it. Now I'm not sure. See, they're all an outward node or whatever you call it right there. So I've got them all pointing in the right direction. I just don't know if I need to take off more, if I really need to take the tree down. Once again, everything I've seen on YouTube from several people who have a lot of fruit trees who really seem pretty knowledgeable, you know, they would cut this tree way back. Like for instance, they'd probably cut it here from what I've seen right here and encourage this one to grow out. On this here, I don't know what they would do on this one. It's kind of hard. Like on here, you know, they'd probably cut it here. Try to encourage outward growth. I'm just afraid to cut any lower. I think if I did, my wife would be pretty upset too. This tree looks bad to me right now, but I know from last year I cut it back more and it just thrived like crazy. So anyways, once again, what should I do with this tree? Should I take that one out right there and just cut it out? Because I know in the future it's probably going to have to come out, but I don't know. I think it would just look so bare. So let me know what you guys think with that. Now they will all produce fruit. Last year after I hacked them up, that thing produced all kinds of pears. I say that's the first year I pruned the peach tree over there. I was pretty, you know, careful with that one. Well, this here's my cherry tree. It does produce fruit. Now this is the one I had the arborist come in and do. And from, once again, everything I've seen online, I figured they would have really thinned this tree out a lot. They basically left the top. He told me to leave it all alone. He did take some off over here because it was rubbing into the roof. You know, they thinned the bottom. They thinned a little bit out inside, but not nearly as much as I thought. The main reason I had them over here is because this had a big branch coming off of here and here, and it was dead wood. And I thought the tree might have had an infection or something. They told me no, it just happens, it's dead wood. So they cut it off and they tried to make it symmetrical. But once again, from everything I've watched, you don't want crossing branches. See all these branches? Like there's a good example right there. They're crossing. I mean, you can just see they're crossing everywhere. They told me don't worry about it. Let it grow. They said cutting it off on the bottom will produce the canopy to grow or encourage the canopy to grow. And if I want this to be a real heavily fruiting cherry tree, then he said, yeah, you really need to hack it all the way back and then it'll produce heavily. But I like this as a shade tree. It gives a lot of shade to the bedroom right there. It really helps, you know, in the summertime. So they told me this is one of the healthiest cherry trees they've ever seen. And I had 2 different guys tell me that at 2 different times. So I guess it's true. You know, this here kind of concerns me. You know, you got a huge, see these 2 branches and they're growing into each other. But they told me leave it alone. It's perfectly natural. Leave it be. So I know this tree, it's fine. It's a good tree. It's just these little ones I'm trying to figure out what to do with. Now the apple tree I'm not that concerned with because it is growing outward. It's just this pear tree. It's growing straight up. But once again, the arborist told me that's just a characteristic of these. That's what they do. So if anyone can offer me some advice on this, let me know. What should I do? This is really the one I'm mostly concerned with. just trying to make it so it doesn't grow so high upward and maybe outward a little bit, produce, make sure it keeps producing fruit. And while I'm here, everybody has told me to cut this thing down and kill it. When I first moved here and landscaped the backyard, my wife saw this tree with purple flowers on it. We found out it's a purple robe locust, which is what all those trees are back there. They're purple robe, yellow, white, but they're all locust. And it was a pretty tree. So what did I do? I went to the nursery and bought one. Well, you can see the main trunk. It grew great. It was taller than my shed, had a huge, beautiful canopy on it. I didn't know these trees, they're pretty brittle in the wind, and we get high winds up here. Well, it snapped it. So what could I do, right? I figured what I would do is just cut the tree right there. Keep in mind, these suckers or whatever weren't here. It was just a trunk, nothing else. I cut it right down, right there, chainsaw. And I was going to wait until the next year, and I was going to try to get that stump out of there, maybe plant something else. Well, the tree put, I guess, suckers or whatever you want to call them on. It put one on this side and one on that side. It was kind of symmetrical. It started growing again. And while I knew it would never be a tree like that, I figured I'd have a nice shrub or bush or something. And it started leafing and flowering and everything else, so I left it. Well, the winds came again. This side broke off, as you can see. It's pretty damaged over here. It's all cracked. But this side is like really sturdy, and it started growing. And last year, this actually, got all kinds of leaves, and it actually budded flowers, and I got flowers on it. The arborist and several other people, even people at nurseries, I tell them, hey, I got a purple robe locust. The first thing they say is, oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm like, why? And they tell me it's a horrible tree. It has the rootstock from a black locust, and it's going to put shoots up everywhere and take over your yard. Well, those trees do. I got to pull them out all the time. And in this guy's backyard and front yard, they're wild. I even talked to him, and he said when he first planted them, he didn't know that they were as voracious as they are. Because I think he planted them back in like 2006 or 7 or something, and they just grow up everywhere. But I have it here, and I don't like to kill living things. So that's how much it grew last year from nothing. But I'm wondering, should I leave it and see what happens? Should I just cut the whole thing out and get rid of it? Or should I treat it like a fruit tree and try to find some outward buds and cut it low and encourage outward growth and try to salvage what I do have here? Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully someone can help me. Thanks. Y'all take care. See you later.